Hi guys, we're on a crunch timeline in order to get this machine up and running and ready to go so that we can put it over on the second YouTube channel, RCG Racing, for drag racing season. We're doing a restoration back to stock-ish, which sounds kind of funny, but in the grand scheme of things, I want to put this as close to factory as it was before we put it on the drag strip so that we have a baseline to work from. That and the previous owner was far more zip tie reliant than I would like to be to go 60 plus miles per hour. So let's talk about the bike. Let's highlight a few things for Jessie to be able to film for us, and we'll go from there. The first of which Jessie can do from where she is if I grab this front end, yeah, that's the steering shaft in the front end. The bearing is entirely obliterated out of the bottom of it and doesn't exist anymore. So we might want steering in order to go drag racing. We've got brand new tensioner for the inside. Yeah, that was great. There, we've got a brand new tensioner for the inside of this because that is only held in by just wedging it with a bolt. The spring is broken. So if we have Jessie come up here and take a look around, if you look on the inside of here, you'll notice that there is oil. In fact, there is oil everywhere, all the way down through the entire thing. The engine is blown. The piston rings are gone. It's blowing oil out of here. It's blowing oil out of every orifice possible. It's just plain done for.
Yuck. Now,
somebody already hacked off the rear support that comes across here. I'm not sure what's up with the great chain finding device, but the chain's extremely polished right on the inside here from whatever that idea was. If we highlight up in underneath, the mount for the seat in front here is some little piece of sheet metal that's all bent. The springs back here are held on by zip ties, and I'm pretty sure the only thing holding the cushion on is this zip tie right here across the top. In the back, one of these is broken and re-welded. On the other side over here, we're missing the secondary retaining nut. I also like the floating brake feature because the brake system, if we hit it, it moves. So the brake system is not supposed to rotate. And that's because this is stripped out. You can tighten it up and it just doesn't do anything because whatever that is stripped. Brake line is kinked. Exhaust system, if we look down through the end of it, has already had the drill and port function done to it. You can see the nice delicate hole in the center.
Oh, jeez.
More zip ties, more zip ties.
Do you need to drive this?
The underside of the tank, for some reason, got hack jobbed. I'm not entirely sure what they were trying to do there in order to fit the gas tank out the top. So there's that hack job. Also, in order to be on the drag strip, we've got to add a pull tether. We're going to upgrade our handlebars to something that's not falling apart on them. And this is my current brake lever. This is the one we're probably going to replace it with because it has all of it there because I crashed it for the third time. The headlight, it's a beautiful headlight, except for the plug assembly is broken and shattered off, But none of that actually matters because it's an aluminum PVL flywheel in it that doesn't have a charging circuit to use the headlight anyway. Or the taillight.
Are you sure you need to drive this?
And Jessie's working on putting the engine back together that she tore apart for a previous video while we were trying to figure out what connecting rod this thing takes. But she was partially on pause because I was waiting for a part to come in that I've been hunting around for a little while. This is a Yamaka? I don't know. Can you pronounce that?
You're not pronouncing the A's.
Okay, you do it. Yamakato, according to Jessie. Okay, so this is the stock throttle body setup that goes on a regular DuroMax 208cc, 212cc. This is an aftermarket, and if we look, it's got a little cable tie down there, and it's got the crimp point right there. And can you demonstrate to them that it's spring-loaded? Yep. So it's got rebound built right into it. So that's going to replace the stock one, which is the same setup as what that Coleman would have come with stock. So we're going to be pretty darn close to stock-ish on the restoration. Emphasis on the ish, because we're also adding an extra 40-something cc to start with. But are you putting in your 2 cents?
Yes.
Ah?
Unsafe for Daddy to drive.
Come on, give it a throttle. Hi, do you remember where the kill is? Yeah? Yep. I dare you. Tell me it wasn't fun to hear that fire up after putting it back together.
It was.
That was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, as long as it keeps you safe.
No, it's going to make me less safe as I put $2,000 worth of parts into it, but we'll see. It's less likely to explode between my legs. Does that count?
Okay.
Okay. Are you over here telling Mommy to keep cutting those zip ties? Yeah, you tell her.
29.
So Jessie's on the 29th zip tie at this point. We're making a Hail Mary to attempt to rebuild this in time for Winterport. So that's all the zip ties so far. We're getting rid of the grub handles. We're getting rid of the idler. We've put a brand spanking new one on here. Now that I know this fits, I'll include a link down below in case you want one. But I did want a side note. It came with the wrong type of nut for what goes on there. So you do need to use your original one. We ended up finding out we had a max torque that I apparently put on here. I forgot about. So that's better than the one that I ordered. So we're going to run that.
30.
30. So Jessie's on 30. The rear chain is shot, but we're going to try and run it for now because we're going to end up switching to a torque converter. And this one here I have replaced. We're going to save the exhaust that was on it, even though it's been modified, because I want to do an exhaust video where we try like 5 different types of exhaust in one day. Like stock muffler, 25 millimeter, 28 millimeter, Coleman, Amazon, OMB, whatever style muffler along with this. We've got the headlight off, which was like, this thing's a full aluminum back headlight. I don't know where he got it, but it's intensely heavy. And we need to get different bolts for the side cover. Apparently these Hondas use metric. The DuroMax uses a 5/16 by 24, so I've got to custom buy some bolts tomorrow at Tractor Supply immediately in the morning. Otherwise, I've got to shuffle the entire garage in hopes I find some. We've got to get this off in order to get that off. And yeah, the seat...
welded it. Or
oh yeah.
Welded it, or whatever the word is.
Yeah, the seat is lovable at this point. We figured out why there were 4 zip ties down there. Because, yeah, it bounces all over the place. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a hard mount plate right here that comes up to this. And we're just going to screw it straight down to it. I don't care if I catch the underside of this on fire, so we're just going to weld a bolt to it and drive it down through and put a nut in and call it good there. Gas tank's going to come off because we're going to hope that the DuroMax gas tank will fit right here. And Jesse has found there's some sort of hidden gas tank on the inside that we got to remove. So that's what we're going to get to now. 33 zip ties. You didn't even cut those. You just found those randomly in there?
I cut them earlier and I forgot.
Oh, okay. So Jesse will keep up the zip tie count.
33.
How in the world did you show up to work on a greasy bike in white?
It's not white, it's gray. I have 2 of these.
Oh, so is that your destroy it in the garage one now?
If my baby pukes on it, Reese gets on it, I don't care.
Okay. Love you.
Love you. Bye, people.
Well, everyone, wish Jesse a big thank you for helping me with getting this torn down to this point. I just need to pop the engine off now, and we'll see if we can black out this horrifying frame. But unfortunately, somebody has decided that it's just before bedtime munchie time, and, well, we would get demonetized if we showed that. So, so we're going to send them inside. I'm going to get this engine off. I'm going to quickly do a degrease on it and tape it off and see if we can throw some black paint at it tonight.
38 zip ties.
38 zip ties. Hi. Jethro, say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
You suck at this bye-bye thing, dude. Act like you're in a YouTube family, will you? Oh, that was a giant pain in the butt, but it is down to frame so that we can degrease it and throw a coat of paint on it. We saved the PVL flywheel because over on RCG Racing, once we get a little bit above stage 1 into stage 2 on the engine build, we're going to do a cast versus Chinesium versus PVL versus 2.5 pound racing flywheel and see if it actually makes a difference. We're going to do all of them in one day. That way it's all compared on the exact same engine build, same exact day, same humidity, same everything. So stay tuned over on RCG Racing to see videos like that, because that's going to be the point of this summer. The bearing that was in the bottom of that, well, that's what it took in order to get it out, was welding that to the inside and pounding it out. Top one wasn't too bad. But these are what they're supposed to look like, and these seem to fit. I made sure they fit on the shaft, so we're going to include that in the links down below in case you need a set for your Coleman 200EX. This little bugger here we're going to throw off into the corner. There's a couple of other little doodads I'm going to probably pull off of it. It does look as if this Mikuni might actually be a real 22mm Mikuni, so we may or may not attempt to rebuild that and revive it at a future date. Alright, we've officially got less than 20 hours to be at the racetrack. Luckily, I ordered up a Chinesium kit off of Amazon for the brakes, because OMB Warehouse, they tried to make things right. They upgraded my shipping to 2-day shipping, but then UPS decided to pretend that my address doesn't exist. So luckily I had these on hand. Kudos to OMB Warehouse for trying to fix things. And on the seat situation, we've sliced off the springs. We're going to just make a flat mount. As it is right now, I've got these nut inserts that I have just glued into place with this 5-minute epoxy and stuff. This is not the seat that's going to be permanently on here. I'm going to switch it over to more of a cafe racer style pretty soon. This just needs to be there so we can run some test and tune. But this stuff is awesome. I swear by it. I've used it for like 10 years, and Bob Smith Industries is actually here in the United States. This is actually mixed in the United States. Now, granted, I say mixed because I don't know where the inserted chemicals come from, but at least it's bottled and mixed here in the USA. Good stuff. I will post a link for this. I use it on everything. Also, if you live in a cold climate, one of the reasons why I use this is because it's usually good down to freezing temperatures. On the bike itself, we have pounded in the new bearings and made sure that the paint is dry everywhere. I think what I'm going to do is get the assembly on the front done, the tire on the back done, get the engine in, and the seat is literally just going to be the last thing possible because the seat was sitting really far forward because the gentleman I bought this off of was about, I'm going to guess, 5'8". And I'm 6'1", almost 6'2", with a decent set of work boots. So I think we're going to shift the entire seat back a good solid 4 inches and then mount it. We are in crunch time now. This is getting slapped together. It is spray paint bomb. Not going to sugarcoat it whatsoever. It is ugly. That is eventually getting replaced. Those are getting replaced with different tires. That rear rim is getting replaced because I think it has a wobble in it. That rear gear is getting replaced. That fender is getting replaced. The real reality is the whole thing at some point is either getting upgraded, replaced, modified, or a lighter version put in place. So we're just getting this slapped together right now to be able to take it out and go play. Well, $2 worth of 5/16 by 24 bolts later, we're sitting here playing the game of it doesn't quite line up. I can get that top one, but I can't get any of the other 3. Turns out, if I can get you guys in here, backside of that jack shaft cross piece, whatever you want to call it, is hitting that. So I've got to pop this off. Honestly, I'm just going to reach in there with a permanent marker and I'm just going to slice a hole in it. Rather than try and bend it and pound on it and everything else, we're just going to cut it. So I've still got quite a bit in order to sort out at this point, but as it is right now, we checked the brakes, they work, the clutch assembly is working, the DuroMax bolted right in exactly in place, none of the chains had to be changed at all. It does bolt a little bit further forward than the GX160, just to be aware. The other thing I noticed is that tuning the valves on this are a big giant pain in the neck. It actually takes 3 different sizes of socket to be able to get to everything. So I'm going to be changing out this valve cover to something that is far more accessible and easier to work with. But that's nothing against DuroMax. That's just the situation of space. I think I'm really liking what we got going on there. Yeah. I had to move that seat 4.5 inches back for me to actually be able to fit on this thing. Trying to sit on there, I look like the proverbial you-know-what monkey. But one thing I wanted to point out here is almost all of this is hand tools. A Denali grinder and a $100 hitbox welder with a crummy deco welding helmet. There's nothing here that was done with any fancy stuff, no plasma cutting, no nothing. It's all just making do and getting it set up in order to go run a test and tune. So, let's get this seat bolted down finally and call it good. What I ended up doing was extending the rear with a little bit of a tail and 2 tabs that'll drop down in and lock it in place. This is not going to be the final seat on this machine, so I'm not overly worried about it. It's ugly, but it's functional. There we go. Unfortunately, I'm running out of daylight, but we got a chance to take it down the driveway. It works really good. The DuroMax has tons of power with this 62 sprocket on the back of it. It will pop a wheelie from a start without flinching. So we definitely need to get rid of the 60 for when we go drag racing, but that's on the other channel, RCG Racing. As it is right now, this is all set up. I'm happy with it. And we're going to take it out to test and tune tomorrow and go from there.